Hey friends, I hope you're having an amazing day. This is a shameless plug going out for my free cycling downloads where you can find my top 9 fave hill climbing drills, my bike bin checklist, and my most recent upload, cycling snacks. Such a great way to make your own healthy snacks for training inside, outside, racing, or for the family. Go to askcoachsylvie.com and download them today.
Hey gang, Sylvie Dow here of Secrets from the Saddle podcast. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a race review on Barry-Roubaix. Look at my little race cap. Got this at the store. And gosh, special thanks to some friends who came through. You know what? The thing about asking is you have to ask for certain things. And I was just so grateful to have met up with a bunch of girls from the Women's Gravel page on Facebook. And also I got to hang out with Will from Floyd's of Leadville Cycling. Thank you for this amazing shirt. We hung out. I helped him with the tent. But before we get into the fun stuff, and I'm going to share with you everything that I did to get prepared, is I want you to go to askcoachsylvie.com and check out my free downloadables. Okay, so there are a couple snacks that I use that I put up there as a snack downloadable for cycling, and I can tell you that's probably one of the things that saved me. I didn't rely on the race food that they were handing out, and I brought mostly whole food with me. So you should consider preparing that way yourself and not relying on complete sugar, because at the end of the day, at the end of the season, that stuff really plays havoc with your stomach. So anyways, go to the free downloadables, check them out, go to the cycling snacks, download that one. There's a couple other ones. There's a list of items for a bike bin. So I'm going to show you my bike bin here. And anyways, so go there and get that right now. And also don't forget to follow the podcast on Instagram, Secrets from the Saddle podcast. You can follow myself. And so here it goes. Now, I was fully expecting and preparing to camp. And if you were following along with that race, it friggin' snowed. And thank God it snowed and it didn't rain, because snow is way better than rain, as you know or probably appreciate. But I also started asking around about, if I could crash at somebody's place. And I had friended Will from Floyd's of Leadville, and I had interviewed him. So that podcast has not come out yet. So make sure that you're following the podcast and you put the notification on so you don't miss an episode. And I asked him, and I noticed that he was going there. They were one of the sponsors. I was like, hey, I'll see you there. We'll have a beer and blah, blah, blah. And then I was just, I was like, where are you staying? Do you mind, and anyways, I ended up bunking with him, and I also helped him put up the tent and things like that. So it was a really cool synergy to help out somebody that I knew that was, had a sponsorship tent and everything. So certainly grateful that I was not camping and I was able to stay. And also I met quite a few people at the hotel from Brampton. Hey girls. So Carol and Sherry and the boys, I've already recruited them for next year. So we're going to bring more women to the event because, oh my gosh, it is hard. It was a hard event, but here's the thing that I find for me, it's a mindset going into it. And if you look at the the course right here, you'll notice there are so many, it's not like a square, right? It's like there's small sections all the time. You're always turning right, left, right, left. And if you just ride that section and then you, oh my gosh, you turn the corner and there's another cool section. And then before you know it, you're at the last food station and you're like less than 10 miles from the finish. I think that's probably one of the most cool things about that race, because it's just, there's so many different cool sections. It's like gravel to road to sand to beautiful winter scenery. I mean, it snowed the night before, so everything was covered with snow. It was so gorgeous. Or maybe I was the only one, but honestly, when you race, you got to stop and like take a look around, regardless if you're going super fast. So let's get into my race prep. Now, you can follow this along. You can implement this. I find the more prepared you are, the better it is, right? I'm sure you feel that in other instances of your life. And maybe if you aren't one of those organized people, that maybe just this part of your life you can get organized so that you don't feel stressed. One thing I've always said from the beginning of my cycling career, and when I started racing in 2005, the less stress you feel heading to the race start, the better your event is going to be, right? You know how that feels. So you make sure you have everything in check. You're not like running around for food, last minute, pumping tires, like forget it. Make sure that you're always in check and you prepare and you bring everything. Just bring everything. So you don't go, oh my gosh, I forgot that. Oh my gosh, that is the worst you can ever feel. Is like, shit, I really wanted that jacket. That was my key jacket and I totally forgot it because I was distracted doing something else. So let's just talk about Wednesday. So I started preparing my stuff basically on Monday. Bikes, getting that together, pulling all my camping stuff together, getting the tent ready, start kind of like piling everything in one corner that I knew it was going to go into the car. I got an oil change. On Wednesday, I got an oil change. I got my rapid test, got money. So I didn't have to think about that for the rest of the week. And then on Thursday, that was when I packed the car Wednesday. So I packed everything Thursday. So Wednesday, clothes, bike bin, everything was packed and ready to go. Thursday, all I had to do was put some key things into the car, like my computer and my bike bin and my clothes and my food. Oh, that's another thing. Pulling all my favorite foods together. There's nothing worse than not having food when you travel. Okay, I don't know how much money I saved doing that and stress of trying to find stuff. So I had 2 bags full of food. I had non-perishables and I made sweet potato mix. I had meat. I had crackers, I had cheese, I had all these jams, everything together, more food than I actually needed. And so I made sure on Wednesday, again, all that was packed. Basically the whole week I was pulling things together, finding things, just making sure that I had everything in one spot. And so by Thursday, I was able to just jump in my car. I did a couple last minute things and set out on my drive. Now, my plan, and I stuck with my plan. I could have deviated from my plan, but I wasn't sure. My biggest hurdle was getting across the border as a non-vax person. I got my test. I paid $80 for that. Fuck. And And when I crossed the border, I was like, okay, I'm going to start at Ogdensburg. Ogdensburg is probably the farthest away from Hastings, Michigan ever. But I was like, if I don't cross here, then I can go to the next one and the next one. And I know Sarnia is the closest. Like, don't tell me. I know now. I came back through Sarnia. 2 hours, like, difference in drive time. Seriously. So anyways, I got across, no questions asked. So I'm on my way, and like, have you ever had this little panic attack that, so I had everything in my car, right? I don't need food. All I need to do is stop for gas, go to the bathroom. That's it. I had water. I had everything. I had my mix. And so the GPS sends me either towards Buffalo, and I come down through Syracuse and got kind of a little bit lost. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to go through another big city. I might, get turned around in there. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go overland, like cut through from like basically Syracuse to Cleveland. Okay, just take a look at that. And so I was either like Buffalo and down or straight across. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go straight across. It kind of looks like the same. A little bit of difference in time, right, when it's mapped out. But honestly, all I could think of when I was down there, I was like on these back roads, like single lane, like a little bit dirt. I'm like, oh, I was thinking of Deliverance, like all these really bad movies, stemming around people who get caught up in like getting lost in the States in the backcountry. Anyways, I was close to Mennonite country, and so I felt a little bit better. And it was during the day. At night, I probably would have had a serious panic attack. So that was Thursday, and came up to Cleveland around 7 p.m. So I've been driving since like 10:30 to 7. So that's about 9 hours. And I phoned my husband. I'm like, can you find me a hotel like somewhere out of Cleveland towards Toledo? And that's where I stayed that night. Now, what you didn't know about, if you've been following the story, like my posts on Instagram, like I put a bunch of posts there, like, stories, is that somewhere between leaving that hotel room on Friday and making it to my car, I think it was just all my bags, I'm almost certain, pulled a muscle in my back. So if you've ever pulled a muscle in your back, I started having like serious issues trying to breathe. And like actually, it still hurts when I do that, but very little. Like I could not get a full breath in. I was like, oh my God, this is so strange. What the hell happened? I couldn't think of anything where I was like, oh, I pulled something. But oh my gosh, was it painful. And I'm like, oh fuck. Like you think about like trying to breathe heavy or even sneezing. Painful. So anyways, my plan on Friday was I had 3 hours to Hastings, and I was going to get there for 12 o'clock to set up my team tent. So it's my Cycle Fit Chicks tent, because I had organized with a bunch of girls off the women's gravel page to meet there. So we had a place, like a meeting place, and a place to like hang out under the roof and get a little bit warm. And I want a good spot. And I'm always like that. I'm always early, first on the scene. And I was pretty close to being first. Got a good spot, met up with a couple girls. So that was good. We were right on like the main line. You can see the pictures right here. And so that was good. Got that set up. Figured out how I could go get my rapid test for Saturday. So which there's a Walgreens straight around the corner. Thank God. So went and booked that. And so I'm good. My friend Will showed up. I helped him unpack his van and set up his tent. And then we went to the hotel. So, oh, we went and got our race pickup. Like, check out these pictures. I mean, this place was well organized. Unbelievable. So anyways, got all that done. And then Friday night in the hotel, went out for supper, started putting together all the food. And so these are the packages that I used right here for my food. And there's the reusable food pouches, and they're freaking amazing. You can pack so many calories in there. So I had 2 with 2 bars. And so I've had, one was full of sweet potato mix and some peanut butter and nuts. And then the other one had overnight oats and chia seeds. So those 2 right there is what I had, plus an isogenics bar, plus an isogenic snack bar. And I had an extra gel just in case. So that's what I rode with, plus one bottle with my amped nitro right here, and my amped hydrate. So that was in my water bottle. But honestly, I think I only drank 2 water bottles that whole 5 hours of racing. Crazy. Like, so this is what I had, this bag right here on my top tube, which is what I purchased at Bush Taka to put all my food in and my phone. So this is an amazing pouch, by the way. I have a small one, like super tiny. I really need to upgrade because it was way too small. Now, a couple other things. Knowing that morning, Saturday morning, supposed to have been snowing all night long. It's supposed to stop snowing around 10. So we're expecting wet and cold and wind. All right. So this is what I had on my hands. I had these little gloves. Okay, I'm gonna find the other one. Amazing. These are from Decathlon. Really good. I can use my phone with these. Pair of ski gloves right here, hands down. I'm so glad I had those. And hot shots. I had one set of hot shots that lasted the whole 4 hours. And I put those in. And so what I did is, like, when my hands started overheating, I just took the winter shells off and I hung them on my handlebars, actually off of my my Garmin. So I just hung them there. And then when my hands started cooling down, then I put them back on. I warmed them up, I took them off. I warmed them up, I took them off. And therefore I had absolutely no problems with my hands over the 5 hours. So thankful. For my shoes, I check out this picture. This is what I had for my shoes. I had alpaca. So this is what I was thinking. Like, I'm not going here to win. I'm just going here to finish and have a good time and assess for other races for next year. So I put flat pedals on my bike. I decided to wear my hiking shoes because they were wider and they were more comfortable than my mountain bike shoes. And my mountain bike shoes have given me some problems. So I didn't want to have that, even though I was clipped in. Big deal. So what I did is I took the insoles out. I put these alpaca insoles in, so my feet never got cold from the bottom. And I put them into my hiking shoes. I then put, again, hot shots on my toes on the outside. And I put these Louis Garneau booties on top. So literally they were stay warm and dry. And the here's one that was left in there from before. Maybe the other one's in there. So that was amazing. My feet did get cold, but they did not freeze, like to the point where I was going to cry. So I'm happy I did that, because again, 100 kilometers, 5 hours. I'm like, I might have started off warm, but throughout that time, I could have got really, really cold. A lot of people DNF'd because of that. So what do? Would you rather DNF because you didn't like dress appropriately, or would you want to look a little bit more ridiculous, be totally warm, and finish? Right? So that's me. Now, so hands and feet. Oh yeah, and I had these light socks on. Thank you, Floyd. Boop. Rockin' socks. Gotta find the other one. And so for my core, I had this undershirt from BME. So wicking. It's one of these, super cool. I love it. So that was really good. My core never got like overheated. I had this Helly Hansen. I've had this for years. And the thing is that it's high on the neck and it zips open so I could easily cool down. And I did a couple times. And this jacket. This jacket is freaking bomb-proof. It's great for the wind. And I had my Gore-Tex jacket on. Now, the thing is that I could have probably avoided my Gore-Tex jacket and gone with my wind jacket as something extra, as a windbreaker. However, what I did was I just took my Gore-Tex jacket off and wrapped it around my waist, and I was able to bike majority of the time without the jacket on. However, at the end, after we stopped at the last stop to just go to the bathroom, you know how you don't want to stand around too long, stood around a little bit longer, got chilled, put my jacket on, super grateful, and it worked out. Now, on the bottoms, I don't have here's a picture. So I had a pair of thin tri-shorts underneath. So I've experienced this before. You could wear longer, like chamois pants, like long pants. But I find that if you don't have another layer underneath, your ass and your hamstrings get super cold and it's not very comfortable. Actually, it doesn't, like, your cold muscles don't work very well. So I had short shorts, very thin, and I had a long pair of winter tights with a chamois in them. Now, I hate putting that chamois against my skin, so I always wear thin shorts underneath, and they worked out real. What I did, in addition, is I wore Gore-Tex pants. And I'm pretty happy that I did. Not that it was wet, but it was windy. And maybe those leggings would have held the wind because they do have a little bit of a covering in them. But yeah, I don't know. I was totally fine because I could zip out the sides and air out. It was funny because it felt like my ankles were sweating, but anyways. And my helmet, I had a headband here and a hat on top, and that was totally fine. What else? Feet, The only thing I really kind of wish I had, and I didn't bring like a neck warmer, like a buff, because usually that's the first thing that I rip off. So I was like, I won't. But the thing is that my neck was getting cold. I can feel it, and then it started going down my back. And if you've ever felt that, you feel like you get a back cold. Anyways, I was kind of feeling like that. Kind of wish I had that on there, but everything else was totally fine and awesome. Now, let's talk about the race course. Now, remember I was saying that I had these like shortness of breath, basically. So I was in wave 4 for the 62 miles. There's 4 waves, right? And then after there was like 36 mile and the 18 mile. that were behind us. And when you start, the first thing you take that left, and it's called the Three Sisters. So as soon as I got on that and my heart rate started to elevate, I could hardly breathe to bring it down. And I was like, oh, fuck. What am I going to do? Because I could hardly breathe to bring my heart rate down as it was elevating. So then I decided, okay, I'm just going to have to take it slow, super low gear. I had 3 chain rings for each of the hills. And if you've ever been on this course, that's all it is. It's rollers. One roller after the other. And I think, so once I figured that out and I was able to bring down my heart rate, I'm like, okay, that's just what I'm going to have to do, because it literally was so painful. I would end up probably hyperventilating if I were to try and breathe it out. Like, it was painful. And like I was saying, it still is, but not as painful. It's like being punched in my back scapula right here and hurting right here, like straight through me. So that's just what I did. I was like, I'm just going to take it chill, like, I'm not here to win. I'm not going to win. And I'm just going to enjoy it and finish, right? Because I was like, what if I can't finish? What if I can't breathe and like pass out? So yeah. Oh, I want to talk about my bike. Now I borrowed my girlfriend's cyclocross, Specialized, which used to be mine. I sold it to her and I asked if I could borrow it. The thing is that I never got on it to ride. I rode it a little bit on the trainer, not the same. And a gut feeling told me to bring my Bianchi, which was it was a rebuild from Retro Rides. So right here, so check it out. I got a compliment actually. I'm like, hey, Milan, there's a Bianchi. I'm like, yay, thanks for noticing. So I it's just like, I think I should bring both bikes and decide. And I'm really glad I did, because that one is really comfortable and I've raced on it before. And on Friday night when I was trying both bikes, I was like, this one just feels better. Like, it didn't feel wonky, and I was like, I wasn't completely trusting the Specialized. However, it did have bigger wheels. It's definitely lighter, and thinner tires. And those tires would have been perfectly fine on this course. However, everybody's home. So that's what I decided. So my Bianchi, it's a refurb. It used to be a mountain bike. It's got drop shifters, bar shifters. Super easy to manage, and just super comfortable. So that's what I decided. I put the flat pedals on there, right, for my shoes, and I rode that. So I'm just thinking, if I ever get a proper gravel bike, super light, like what's the abilities? What can I do with that, right? So anyway, so I'm on that bike, and there's another section. So literally, so super cool being on the course, because certain parts, there were like these bands playing. There was like this one, I took a picture here, check it out, our little video. I don't know if you can see this, but of this kids school band that were playing, like right after the Three Sisters. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop and take a video of this because it's really cool. So here it is. Now further down, much further down, there's Sagers. Anyways, I have no idea where the hell I was on the course. Like, I just kept on turning on, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't know what I'm biking down. There was a sandy or an overly sandy area. It must have been like 50 feet worth. of length. And I think that was Seegers that they're talking about. But if you're good on mountain biking and good on and confident on your bike, you can definitely ride through this. This little section was where everybody got off their bike and just walked and ran it through. And then the rest of the stuff was totally bikeable. So yeah, it's like biking with confidence, like building your confidence, and don't, lay on the brakes, and you just keep riding, keep turning the pedals. Then the next one, there was one, it was called the Wall. And I remember there's this guy beside me. So there's another band at that one too, which is just really cool. Like, there's always a volunteer because you're always turning. Like, you're never on one section for very long until you turn to another one. So remember the mindset's like, I'm just going to finish this section, then I'm going to do that one section, and then that section. And it was really easy to be entertained and just just finish that one and then the next one. And so there was this, it's called the Wall. And I think that was the steepest. I think it was like 9%, very short. Like, nothing is very long. Maybe there was like 2 sections on the road that were longer. Nothing like epic, nothing like, killer, in my opinion, but that's my opinion. Somebody else might feel differently. And then there's somewhere along the road where Will ended up meeting up, like crossing paths, I guess, because the 100 mile joins up with the 62, and then we all finished together. So I was like biking up this hill. He's like, I feel his hand on my back. I'm like, oh my God, Will, how you doing? Because I was like concerned that he didn't have enough clothing on, but he's a pro cyclist. And anyways, he stuck around with me. I'm like, just go. You're going to freeze to death if you hang out with me. So he left. And I started riding with this guy, Mark, from Chicago. And we just like hung out and rode together the whole way to the end. I don't know, maybe like 30 miles. It's hard to say. I have no idea. Anyways, so really cool guy. We debated about the Olympics. We talked about tires and bikes and real estate. And so if you're not too serious, you could really meet a lot of cool people, right? I was by myself. He was by himself. His friend was way the hell ahead. And it's just amazing. So anyways, at the end, he and I, we decided as a pact to, because the fucking race finish was on a hill. I'm like, God, seriously? Why? I'm like, you can have it. He's like, are you sure you're not going to like draft me and like sprint ahead? I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, well, we can finish together. I'm like, yeah, photo finish. Anyways, there's nobody taking pictures. But anyways, we finished together. And it was really good. So I would estimate that it took me slightly over 4 hours because I stopped twice. And if I'd been on another bike, it probably would have been a little bit faster. But here's a couple things that I didn't talk about that I just sort of breezed over, was more race prep for the morning of your race. I don't know how I got into all the racing while I was on my tangent there, but let's go back to mornings because these are so important. And if you ever read Joe Friel's training book, it talks about nutrition in the morning. And if you ever, been properly coached, your coach should tell you or help you out with nutrition in the morning. So the rule of thumb is that you wake up and you start eating 4 hours before race time. Why 4 hours? Because the thing is, you want to get in 600 to 800 calories before you hit your race start. Why? So that this energy is digested. This food is digested. You have readily available energy for your event. And I had a coach back when I started in 2005, and this is what she taught us. I was like, what? Really? Like 4 hours? But makes sense. So I had like basically 3 meals before I started. And when I looked at my race stats, I burnt 2,000 calories over 5 hours. So 2,000 calories. And I started with 600 to 800 calories, probably 800 calories in my system. So therefore, I needed like 1,200 calories to sustain me over the duration and keep my energy going. So I had a full thing of sweet potato, oats, 2 bars. That is probably 1,000 calories right there. So this is super important to get in, and I don't understand how anybody can just race on coffee and oats or whatever, but try it. Because at the end, like, I never felt like I was low energy, and at the end of the race, I still find this amazing. Like, I was not hungry, you know, because I had still sustained energy. I was not like ravenous because I didn't leave my body in a deficit. So that's really important. And also, you're planning out. So you have your race starts at 10. I started eating at 6. And then you have to say, okay, I want to get to the race at least an hour before, if not more. I usually 2 hours before race time, but it was cold. Why would I stand around the cold a little bit more? But I need to get there and parked and close to the tent. So I left at 8 o'clock, which got me there at 8:45. I started at 10. So in that time, I had like 3 meals. So 6, 7:30, and 8:30. And so like when I started, like my stomach wasn't like I'm not feeling like I'm bloated, I'm overly full, like things have digested and I'm ready to use them. So that is really important. And like, if you want to reach out to me and ask more questions about that, please do, because it's really important, because you never want to bonk, right? You want to set yourself up for success right from the get-go. If you don't know how to do it and you're curious or need some assistance or whatnot, then I will help you. All right. So putting that out there. Right. So that was pretty much the event. Like, if it was nicer, there would have been more of an after party. But there was enough of an after party that I actually saw a couple people, and I saw my friend Britt Lee, which when she came up here with a U.S. team to race at the UCI Women's Race event in Gatineau, her team stayed with me at my house. Like, we put them up. And it was so cool to see her. I wish I'd gotten a picture. And ended up going to supper with Mark and meeting his friends. And that was like amazing. I met a handful of girls from the gravel page. So Rebecca and Nikki and Laura and Nicole and Valerie. And that was really cool too. So I'm just super pumped about gravel. And I'm a race organizer for a time trial, and I'm just like so unmotivated right now to put that together. But thing is that anyways, everybody should go and participate, because like there's 4 different distances, right? You got 100 mile, 62, 36, and 18. There's something for everybody. And I know not everybody would travel the distance, but next year, I believe this event is going to be in April. I think it had something to do with Easter. I'm not sure. But I will be setting up another interview with Matt Acker of Barry-Roubaix because I have a bunch of questions for him. Now that I participated, I have questions for him. And if you have questions for them, or if you want to have questions, ask me more questions about the event, please put them in the comments, or I hope you're watching this on YouTube. You can put that in the comments there. You can DM me on Instagram, through the podcast or personally. Yeah, we'll be talking to Matt again. And like I said, this event was spectacular. Like, if you were prepared and properly dressed, you would have had amazing time. And I know, like I said, a lot of people DNF'd. A lot of people didn't even show up because of the weather. And to me, that makes my odds pretty much better. So I'm like, I wouldn't have driven down there for anything less than 100 kilometers. But the thing is that racing at this time of the year has been unheard of for me. Like, my training has just taken a whole different level since last year. And I'm just super excited to see where my training and event participation is going. I love representing, so looking for sponsors, just putting that out there. Also product reviews. If you have interesting cycling related products, message me, send me the products. I will product review them on my podcast and on YouTube. So with that, everyone, I think I've checked off everything. I wrote down some notes here. Oh yeah, getting back to Canada. I forgot to mention that. I had to get back to Canada. So yesterday, left around 11 o'clock. It took 3 hours to get to the border. So by far, it is way faster to go straight down from Ottawa to Sarnia and over, hands down. Because I had my rapid test, I got my results, and all I had to do was, they let me in. They asked me some questions. I had to send in a swab today to be analyzed. That was it. So there you go. We can go across the border. We just have a couple steps. Yeah, super excited about that too. So with that, everyone, don't forget to go check out my free downloads, especially the cycling snacks. I'm creating more as I test them, and I'm going to be sharing them with you because I find that it's better to eat whole food over sweets. It's better for your stomach. It's better for your energy output, and it's cheaper. So with that, thank you so much. Have an amazing day. I hope you enjoyed this race review. Yeah, it was good. Like, I just sat there, I'm like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. Here's a picture of, like, everything was covered with snow. We're just biking down like a gravel pathway, and it was really nice. It was really nice. Anyways, I maybe look at races a little differently than other people, but from my adventure racing background, it's better to chunk things up into sections, and never look at the big picture because you would completely overwhelm yourself. But with that, have an amazing day, enjoy, and put this on your calendar for next year. All right? DM me if you have questions, but don't forget to get those free downloads, and I'll see you later.